Glad that sun's going down. Finally went down below the tree line. It's still humid though. It's been a hot day here in the deep south of Alabama. In my little piece of paradise. Yeah. They say it got up to 96 in the shade. I don't even know what the feels like temperature was, but it was a brutal day. Hey, Spooky. I don't think they can see you. The old camera doesn't pick it up too well. Oh no, that's Cleo. Cleo. Well, Cleo showed up. Oh, she's got to get up in my lap. There's my Cleo right there. You want to sit with Papa and relax now that it's cooled down some? Yeah. Whew. Well, hello there, friends and family. And as you can see, we're out on the front porch. And as we're sitting out here, the sun's going down. It's getting dark outside. The street lights are on, so all the kids need to be home. It's been a toasty day. And if you hadn't watched that our last episode where I took y'all out for breakfast, for that there special breakfast with a coupon, you know, the big deluxe breakfast for $3.99, maybe you should. And if you got a Jack's around you, give them a visit sometime and tell them old Mr. Tom sent you. But what are we doing sitting out here today? Or this evening? Enjoying the coolness. And it'll get a lot cooler. 73 by morning. And we're going to be grateful for that. Now, let me tell you why. Well, today, after we had our breakfast and everything, you know, we went on with our day. Well, right around, somewhere around midday, on one of the hottest days yet this summer, my main air conditioning unit went down. Yep. Fan would still blow. The compressor would come on. It would start to cool. It'd maybe stay on 2 or 3 minutes, and then it would cycle off. You know, I tried everything. I unplugged it, of course. Yeah, it's a window unit. 12,000 BTU. I have 2 of them. Well, there's actually 4 ACs in the house. I have 8,000 here in the front of the house. And then I have 12,000 in the den in the back of the house. And of course, when the kids were here, in their bedrooms, there was a 5,000 BTU unit in each of their rooms. I never had a AC unit in my bedroom. That, my friend and family, was a gunshot. I'll be right back. And that appeared to be a couple more gunshots. Well, came out here to enjoy the coolness of the evening, and it would appear that about a block away, people ain't happy. And we'll have to see how that all turns out. Well, life goes on. I don't know what's going on down there, but I'm sure the neighborhood's about to have some company, as in police, or so I would think. We'll see how long it takes them to respond. Yeah, but back to the story. So anyway, the AC went out, and I tried everything. Unplugging it, plug it back in, it'd start to work, then it would quit again. You know, I played with the controls. You know what all we do when we know it's hopeless. And that. But as the day rolled on, the temperature rose in the house. The one smaller unit in the front of the house, of course, possibly can't cool down this whole house. And another thing, with taking that big oak down that used to shade the entire house, all through the heat of the day. Ever since that has come down, I've noticed in these past 2 years, yeah, the air conditioners ran even more than before. But I only run the two, and I keep my thermostats at 76, 78, because we have some of the highest electric prices in the U.S. now down here, which, I did a video all about that. Don't make no sense. We went from having some of the cheapest to some of the most expensive all in 1 year. Yeah, that was crazy. And it was all about, high natural gas prices. But natural gas prices have came back down to 1990 levels. But our electric rates, with those additional fees for that, have remained. Can you imagine that? And I've tried to do everything about that through our government. Nobody seems to care, you see, because it would take a whole lot more people than this one little old man shouting it out to get any action. And, it's like throwing a party where nobody came. Yep, everybody just whines and complains. And the bills keep coming in. Anyway, I keep getting off topic. So yeah, temperature kept going up, and I was tired. It's been a long day. So I finally laid down, and somehow miraculously fell asleep on the couch out here in the living room, where it was cooler part of the house. So I woke up a couple hours later, wandered into the kitchen, and it was getting late. So I thought, put something together for supper, something cool. And it got me to thinking. Most of us are old enough to remember the days before AC. I know I still can, because I don't know about you, but it was a big day in our lives when we finally got air conditioning. And we just happened to be in Alabama when that day arrived. Now, we had lived out in Oklahoma without it. Oh, we had every fan imaginable. We'd even lived in El Paso prior without it. And let me tell you, Oklahoma and Texas in the summertime without AC is miserable. Oh yeah. But then we moved here to Alabama, North Alabama, outside of Huntsville and Madison. And we didn't have AC. Because in my parents' mind, we were coming to a lot cooler place. Well, somewhat cooler. Not by much. Yeah, sort of, around that whole same latitudes. And it wasn't by much, if any. So we got here in 66, no AC. 67, no AC. Mama complaining. We all sweating through the nights. Remember that? All the windows be open. Fans would be blowing. And you'd still be sweating your life away. Where your sheets would be soaked by morning. And then in 1969, the summer thereof, it was actually late spring. Some people were moving that were also military, and they were selling their stuff. I think they were getting out of the military. And they had a trailer, but it had an AC unit, window unit, and they decided to sell it. And Mama finally talked Daddy into going and checking it out. So he grabbed me, and off we went. It's in the same trailer park we lived in, Mountain View, there in Madison. Unfortunately, it's gone. It was one of the nicest, most well-maintained, paved roads, manicured yards, you would have thought you was living somewhere else than in Alabama, and in a trailer park too. So we went over there and looked at it, and it was a Frigidaire, 24,000 BTU. It was a monster. And, you know, Dad started haggling. I think the man wanted $350 for it. It was used, a few years old. Well, Daddy didn't have $350, but he did have $250. So he made a deal. He give the man $250, and then me, I always came in the deal, unfortunately, or fortunately, as the case may be. And him would help these people, you know, once they got out of the military, retired. I think they were retiring. We'd help them move and get them all set up because they were buying a home. And I mean, since this person and his wife were older, you know, retiring out of the military, they agreed. But we had to get the air conditioner out of that window, and it was big and heavy, and then take it to our place. And that was back in the days before, you know, they had the sides that expanded out and the metal stands underneath them that you could buy. So we had to get it over to the house. We had to build a stand underneath the window beside the outer wall, set it on, and it, you know, stick through the window that we had to take out. And then we had to frame it all out around the AC. And that would take that weekend. But let me tell you what, on Sunday, right before dark, we got her all finished up, all wired in, and for the first time in my life, I would experience air conditioning in our house. Oh yeah. We had put it in the dining room window that split our mobile home. The dining room was right in the middle. You know, if you went to the left, you went down the hall to what was my sister's bedroom, then a bath, and then my parents' room. To the right was the living room, and mine and my brother's bedroom and our half bath. And of course, the dining room was right off the kitchen. Well, that monster could heat almost that entire, or not heat, but cool down that entire trailer. Of course, you'd be freezing in the dining room and the kitchen. But then, you know, with fans, we'd circulate it through the house. And we were living high. Oh yeah, times were good then. Yeah, I mean, we went to school back then. At that time, I was going to Monrovia Elementary and junior high. There was no AC in school, not nary a bit. We had those big old round fans that, you know, oscillated. You had those little things, you know, that you waved in front of you. Or, you know, you got something. And we got by. But Sunday night, evening, and more worse, Monday, would be the first time I had lived without AC since 1969. And you might wonder how hot it gets in a house, baking in the midday sun in Alabama when it's 96 degrees outside. Well, it gets a lot hotter than 96, let me tell you. And there's a reason for that. My hot water heater is in my utility room in the center of my home, which opens up into my den and into my kitchen. My freezer's in the kitchen. And if y'all know, appliances like freezers and refrigerators, yeah, they put out hot air. Yes, they do. It's sort of strange. Now I understand why my grandparents and my great-grandparents put the refrigerator outside on the back porch. You remember that? Well, they didn't have AC. And they were smarter than us. Those heat-generating appliances, like your freezer and your refrigerator, we have to pay now because we have them inside our home to cool the air that they're heating up. Yeah. When you look at it that way, it doesn't make much sense. Yeah, just get down on the floor. Put your face down where they're blowing out the hot air. Or do like I do and put a thermometer down there and understand that you're paying to operate your fridge and freezer. And of course there's a hot water heater too. And now you're paying to cool that air down. Now granted, during the wintertime, it's sort of like free heat. Yeah, there's never been no heat in my kitchen. It don't ever need none. But yeah, the temperature kept rising, especially in the back of the house. And with the one window unit up here, and of course I got a little fan and had it blowing some. I mean, it ain't much of a fan, but it's okay. You know, it's only about 12 inches around. One of them turbo fans. Yeah, turbo my butt. Not much turbo. Anyway, it kept the house down to, you know, right before the sun started lowering and the front oak started shading it because the sun had went down behind it. I think the worst it got inside the house was 94. Yeah. Of course, during all that too, somewhere along that line is when I took a nap, so it didn't bother me. So, if you ever wondered how hot does the house get with no AC in the deep south, or, you know, one, yeah, it got up to 94. And even though I remember back when we didn't have AC, none of us did, or few of us did. Yeah, I don't know how in the world we made it. Do you? Yeah, we played outdoors a lot, under the hose. I remember all that. You know, I can remember Mom and Dad setting up that oscillating sprinkler, and we just have a good time after school and on the weekends. We'd have our water gun fights. We'd go down to the creek and swim. Every so often, they'd take us out to this huge public pool out in Athens, Alabama. It's called Hatfield Lake, but it wasn't a lake. It was a giant swimming pool, man-made. Yeah. You had to buy, you know, admission. It wasn't much. I think it was like $1 back then. $1 a head. I think Saturdays, you know, kids under 12 could swim free. You know, stuff of that nature. And it had, you know, a little tiny deli restaurant, sandwiches and such, and a little arcade where you could play pinball too. All the ways they made money, and of course, you know, they sold or rented, you know, floats and inner tubes and stuff of that nature. Yeah, we really enjoyed it. Of course, Mom would always fix a picnic to go out there. But yep, Monday went by. And the strange thing about it, Monday night sometime, I think around 7, it started working again. And it worked all the way, you know, till morning. And then it shut down again. Wouldn't do nothing. Well, I'd called my son. Of course, he's got to drive about 3 hours and 15 minutes to get down here because there's no way this little old man can lift a, you know, 10 or 12,000 BTU air conditioner out of a window anymore. One time I could have done it and put another one in. So yeah, he came down and he helped me put a new one in. And here we are. Life's all good again. House is all cooling down. We'll be able to sleep like a baby tonight. Or we hope so. I'm going to spend some time out here because I'm appreciating what I got. I mean, I don't think we appreciate how far we've come during our lifetime. Do you know the generation before us, our grandparents, well, actually our great-grandparents, all the way to us, we've seen more come to be than any generation before us and any generation past us has seen. How life has changed since you and I all came on this earth. And yeah, I'm thinking tonight, that truly amazes me. So yeah, friends and family, just a quick rambling about how my week's been going. And I hope yours is going good too. Because in the end, all that matters is good outcome. And doing the best you can do with what life throws you. So hey, I got my two bestest buddies. I got Cleo and Spooky at my feet. I'm not sure where Fluffy Muffin is. He tends to roam. He's still, well equipped. Yeah, we got to do something about that soon too. He's got to see the vet for the snip snip. Don't say nothing. Yep, life goes on. And I haven't heard no sirens. So I'm not sure what was going on with the boom booms. But maybe we'll hear about that some more on the news. So hey, enjoy the comforts of your home and be grateful for everything you got. Because in a blink of an eye, something you take for granted can go away. Like your AC on one of the hottest days this year in the deep south of Alabama. And I'm going to enjoy this evening. I can feel the coolness on my back. Its temperatures now, since that sun is almost down completely, are dropping fast. And as I'm sitting here, I'm appreciating that simple coolness that nature brings that I had forgotten about. So y'all take care out there. Stay safe. And as always, may God bless you as you've blessed those in your lives. You know we love you for stopping by. Until we see you on that next episode of Mr. Tom's Neighborhood. Me, the kitty crew, you know them all, and the little princess of the house. We must say goodbye and good night for now.